Amara stood nervously in front of the largest mansion she had ever seen. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. In one hand was her cooking certificate. In the other was a small handbag containing everything she owned. If she failed this interview, she would lose her apartment within a week. She looked up at the giant gate and whispered, "Please, God, let this be my chance." Suddenly, the gate slowly opened. A security guard stepped forward and looked her up and down. "You're the new chef." Amara nodded a double quotes, "Yes, sir." The guard frowned. "You don't look like a chef." Amara folded her arms. "And you don't look like a security guard." The guard blinked, then burst into laughter. "You're funny." Amara smiled. For the first time that day, her fear disappeared. Little did she know, walking through those gates was about to change her life forever. The mansion was more beautiful than anything Amara had ever imagined. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above her head. The marble floor shined like a mirror. Everything looked expensive, very expensive. As she walked through the living room, she couldn't stop staring. Wow! Then disaster happened. Her elbow accidentally touched a giant flower vase. The vase tilted. Amara reached for it. Too late. Crash! The vase shattered into hundreds of pieces. Silence filled the room. Amara froze. "No." Then a deep voice came from behind her. "That vase cost $20,000. Her heart almost stopped. Slowly, she turned around. Standing there was a tall, handsome man in an expensive black suit. His face looked serious. Very serious. Amara swallowed hard. This had to be her boss. And she was already in trouble. The handsome man stared at the broken vase. Then he stared at Amara. Amara wished the floor would open and swallow her. "I'm sorry, sir." The man folded his arms. "Can you cook?" Amara blinked. That wasn't the question she expected. "Yes." "Very well." "Very, very well." The man raised an eyebrow. "Better than you break things." Amara tried not to laugh. "A little better." For a moment, his serious expression cracked. He almost smiled. Almost. "My name is Ethan Williams." Amara. "Welcome to the mansion, Amara." Amara released a breath she didn't know she was holding. She wasn't fired. At least, not yet. That afternoon, Amara was given her first task. Prepare lunch for Ethan Williams. She spent hours in the kitchen. Every spice, every ingredient, every detail mattered. Failure was not an option. Finally, lunch was ready. Ethan sat at the dining table. Amara stood nearby nervously. He picked up his fork, took one bite, then another, and other. His face revealed nothing. Amara's palms became sweaty. Finally, Ethan looked up. "This is the best meal I've eaten in years." Amara's eyes widened. "Really? Really?" She jumped excitedly. "Knew it." Unfortunately, her excitement was too much. She bumped into a glass of juice. The juice spilled everywhere. Ethan stared. Amara stared. Then Ethan laughed.
Then Ethan laughed. Actually laughed. And somehow, that laugh made Amara smile too. The next morning, Ethan walked into the dining room for breakfast. Everything looked normal. Until he noticed a small folded note beside his plate. Curious, he opened it. The note read, "Good morning, Mr. Always Angry?" Ethan frowned, then continued reading. Today's breakfast was prepared with extra care. Please try not to scare anyone before lunch. For a few seconds, the room was silent. Then something unusual happened. Ethan smiled. A real smile. The kind he hadn't shown in a very long time. At that exact moment, Amara peeked from the kitchen. Did he read it? Ethan looked toward her hiding place. Amara quickly disappeared. Ethan chuckled. For the first time in months, he was looking forward to tomorrow the next morning. Amara woke up early and decided to explore the mansion. After all, how hard could it be? One hallway led to another, then another, and another. Soon, Amara realized something terrible. She was lost. Completely lost. For almost 2 hours, she wandered around the mansion. Finally, she sat down on the floor with a packet of biscuits she found in her apron pocket. At least I won't get lost on an empty stomach, she sighed. Just then, a familiar voice echoed through the hallway. Amara? She looked up. It was Ethan. Relief washed over her face. Thank goodness. Ethan raised an eyebrow. What are you doing here? I live here now. You've been missing for 2 hours. Amara nodded. I've named this hallway and paid 3 months' rent. For a second, Ethan tried to stay serious. Then he burst into laughter. Amara smiled. She loved seeing him laugh. And strangely, Ethan was beginning to enjoy having her around later that afternoon. A sleek luxury car pulled into the driveway. A beautiful woman stepped out. She wore an expensive red dress and sunglasses. The staff immediately recognized her. Sophia, Ethan's ex-girlfriend. Sophia walked confidently into the mansion. The moment she entered, she spotted Amara arranging flowers. Excuse me, Sophia said. Amara turned. Yes. Sophia looked her up and down. And who are you exactly? I'm Amara, the maid. Amara smiled politely. No, the cleaner. No, the assistant. No. Sophia frowned. Then who are you? Amara grinned. The person who cooks food people actually enjoy. The room became silent. Sophia's eyes widened. A nearby staff member almost choked, trying not to laugh. At that exact moment, Ethan entered. Sophia immediately ran to him. Ethan. She hugged him tightly. But Ethan's eyes briefly met Amara's. And for some reason, Amara suddenly felt uncomfortable. That evening, Sophia insisted on staying for dinner. The entire meal felt awkward. Sophia spent most of the evening talking about expensive vacations, luxury shopping, and designer handbags. Amara quietly served food. Then Sophia suddenly looked at her. So Amara, where do you travel for vacations? Amara thought for a moment. My village. The table went silent. Sophia laughed. I mean, outside the country. Amara smiled. One time I traveled outside my village and got lost. Even Ethan laughed. The guests laughed too. Sophia's smile disappeared. Every joke she made failed. Every joke Amara made succeeded. By the end of dinner, Sophia was furious. And Amara didn't even realize it. That night, heavy rain began to fall. Thunder shook the mansion. Suddenly, the lights went out. Everything became dark. A loud crash of thunder echoed outside. Amara jumped. I don't like this. She hated darkness. As she stood frozen, a beam of light appeared. Ethan was holding a flashlight. He walked toward her. You okay? Amara nodded. Not really. Ethan handed her another flashlight. Stay close. Those two simple words made her heart skip. Together, they walked through the dark mansion, checking each room. Rain pounded against the windows. Lightning flashed across the sky. And for the first time, Amara felt completely safe. While checking the basement, the floor was slippery from a small leak. Amara wasn't paying attention. She took one step, then slipped. Before she could hit the ground. Strong arms caught her. Everything happened so fast. Amara opened her eyes. She was in Ethan's arms. Neither of them moved. Neither of them spoke. The flashlight fell beside them, casting a soft glow across their faces. For a moment, the world seemed to disappear. The rain, the thunder, the darkness, everything. Only their eyes remained locked together. Amara's heart raced wildly. Ethan swallowed hard. Neither wanted the moment to end. Then suddenly, the lights came back on. Both quickly stepped apart, embarrassed, flustered, confused. But one thing was certain. Something had changed between them. Something neither of them could ignore anymore that night. Amara couldn't sleep. She tossed from one side of the bed to the other. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan's face. The way he had caught her. The way he had looked at her. The way her heart had refused to calm down. "What's wrong with me?" she whispered. Meanwhile, in another part of the mansion, Ethan sat on his balcony. A cup of coffee rested in his hand, but he wasn't drinking it. His thoughts were somewhere else. Or rather, someone else. Amara. For the first time in years, Ethan couldn't stop smiling, and that scared him. The next morning, Amara entered the dining room carrying breakfast. The moment she saw Ethan, she looked away. Ethan saw her and looked away too. The silence was painful, very painful. Finally, Amara placed the food on the table. "Breakfast is ready." "Thank you." Silence again. Then Ethan accidentally reached for the same spoon Amara was holding. Their hands touched. Both immediately pulled back. "Oh, sorry." The two spoke at the same time, then stared at each other, and suddenly started laughing. The awkwardness disappeared. At least for a moment that afternoon, Ethan called Amara. "I need to go shopping." "Okay, you are coming with me." Amara blinked. "Why?" "Because the last person who helped me choose clothes made me look like a sad politician." Amara burst out laughing. An hour later, they arrived at a luxury mall. People immediately recognized Ethan, but Ethan ignored everyone. His attention remained on Amara. For the first time, Amara experienced a world she had only seen on television. And surprisingly, she was enjoying every second. Inside one expensive store, Amara spotted a beautiful blue dress. She admired it quietly. Ethan noticed. "Try it." "No." "Why?" "It's too expensive." Ethan smiled. "Just try it." After much convincing, Amara agreed. A few minutes later, she stepped out of the dressing room. The entire store became silent. The dress looked perfect on her. Ethan stared and stared and stared. Amara waved her hand. "Hello." Ethan quickly looked away. The sales assistants exchanged knowing smiles. Something was definitely happening after shopping. They stopped at an ice cream shop. Amara ordered the biggest ice cream she could find. Ethan shook his head. "You eat like a child." And proudly. As they walked outside, Amara laughed at one of Ethan's jokes. Then disaster happened. Her ice cream slipped straight onto Ethan's expensive suit. Silence. Complete silence. Amara looked at the stain, then at Ethan, then back at the stain. Oh no! Nearby shoppers stopped walking. Everyone waited for Ethan's reaction. Slowly, Ethan looked down, then looked at Amara, and started laughing. The crowd couldn't believe it. The famous serious billionaire was laughing over ice cream. Amara laughed too. And somehow, the moment felt perfect. The following weekend, Amara traveled home to visit her mother. Her mother opened the door and immediately hugged her. "My daughter, I missed you too, Mama." The small house was filled with warmth and laughter. As they talked, Amara couldn't stop mentioning Ethan. Ethan said this. Ethan did that. Ethan laughed at this. Her mother smiled knowingly. "Who is Ethan?" Amara froze. "What do you mean? You've mentioned his name 17 times. Mama!" Her mother laughed. "My daughter is in love." Amara's face turned red, but deep inside, she wasn't sure her mother was wrong. The next day, an unexpected visitor arrived near Amara's family home. It was Ethan. He had driven all the way there without telling her. He sat inside his car and looked at the small house. The paint was fading. The roof needed repairs. Yet somehow, the house felt full of love. For the first time, Ethan understood where Amara got her kindness from. He smiled. Without introducing himself, he quietly left a package of groceries and gifts at the door, then drove away. Neither Amara nor her mother knew who had left them, but Ethan knew, and that was enough. The next morning, Amara opened the front door and froze. Several bags of groceries sat neatly on the doorstep. Rice, beans, cooking oil, fresh fruits, even a brand new microwave. "Mama," she shouted. Her mother rushed outside. "Who brought all these?" Amara looked around. Nobody was there. A small card rested on top of one of the bags. It simply read, "For a wonderful family." No name, no address, nothing. Amara smiled. "Maybe an angel visited us." Her mother laughed. "Or maybe someone likes my daughter." Amara rolled her eyes, but deep inside, she wondered if Ethan had something to do with it. When Amara returned to the mansion, she found Ethan working in his office. He looked up briefly. "How was your trip?" "It was good." Ethan nodded. "That's nice." Amara stared at him suspiciously. "Did you send gifts to my family?" Ethan nearly choked on his coffee. "What?" "The groceries." "What groceries?" "The microwave." "What microwave?" Amara narrowed her eyes. Ethan looked away. That was all the answer she needed. A smile slowly appeared on her face. Ethan pretended not to notice, but secretly, he was happy she knew. Across the city, Sophia sat inside a luxury apartment. She was furious. Every time she thought about Ethan and Amara, her anger grew. "This cannot continue," she said. Her friend sighed. "Maybe you should move on." Sophia slammed her hand on the table. "Never." Then a dangerous smile appeared on her face. If she couldn't win Ethan back, she would make sure Amara lost him. And just like that, a new plan was born. A few days later, Amara was scrolling through her phone when she saw exciting news. A nationwide cooking competition was coming to the city. The winner would receive a huge cash prize and the opportunity to open their own restaurant. Amara's eyes widened. This was her dream, her biggest dream. Ethan noticed her excitement. What happened? She handed him the phone. For a moment, he read silently. Then he smiled. "You should enter." Amara laughed nervously. "Against the best chefs in the country." "Exactly. What if I lose?" Ethan stood up and looked directly at her. "What if you win?" For the first time, Amara began to believe she could. The next day, Amara started practicing. Every morning, every afternoon, every night. She cooked endlessly. Sometimes she succeeded. Sometimes she burned things. One evening, smoke filled the kitchen. The fire alarm started ringing. Ethan rushed inside. "Amara?" She coughed. "I'm experimenting." Ethan looked at the black pot. "It looks like the food is experimenting with revenge." Amara burst into laughter. Soon Ethan was laughing too. Despite the hard work, they enjoyed every moment together. As the competition approached, Ethan spent more time in the kitchen. At first, he claimed he was just checking on the mansion, but everyone knew the truth, including Amara. One afternoon, while preparing a dish, Flourish accidentally landed on Ethan's face. Amara laughed so hard she almost fell over. Ethan grabbed a handful of flour. Don't do it. He smiled. Too late. A second later, flour covered Amara's hair. Soon the entire kitchen turned into a battlefield. The staff secretly watched from the doorway. None of them had ever seen Ethan this happy. Not once until Amara arrived. Finally, the big day arrived. Hundreds of contestants filled the competition hall. Some had years of experience. Some owned famous restaurants. Amara suddenly felt very small, very nervous. Her hands trembled. Then she heard a familiar voice. You belong here. She turned. Ethan stood beside her. His smile was calm, confident, comforting. For some reason, her fear disappeared. She nodded and walked toward the stage. Ready to fight for her dream, the judges tasted Amara's dish. The room felt silent. Every second felt like an hour. Finally, one judge smiled. Then another, then another. The audience began applauding. Amara couldn't believe it. She had qualified for the next round. Tears filled her eyes. The crowd cheered loudly. As she stepped off the stage, Ethan was waiting. Without thinking, she ran straight into his arms. For a moment, neither of them moved. Neither wanted to. And somewhere in the crowd, Sophia watched everything. Her eyes burned with jealousy. The battle for Ethan's heart was far from over. Sophia sat alone in a quiet restaurant, staring at a photo of Ethan and Amara on her phone. The more she looked at it, the angrier she became. They think they're happy, she whispered. Her eyes narrowed. Let's see how long that lasts. She picked up her phone and made a call. I have a job for you. On the other end, a man answered. What kind of job? Sophia smiled coldly. Something that will ruin a competition. The next round of the cooking competition arrived. Amara was confident. Everything was going perfectly until she opened her ingredient box. Her smile disappeared. The most important ingredients were gone. Gone. Her heart dropped. No, no, no. Contestants around her were already cooking. The timer had started. Panic spread through her body. She searched everywhere. Nothing. Someone had taken them. For the first time since entering the competition, Amara felt completely helpless. Just when Amara thought everything was over, a familiar voice called her name. Amara. She turned around. Ethan was running toward her. In his hands were bags of ingredients. Fresh ingredients. The exact ingredients she needed. Amara's eyes widened. How did you know? Ethan smiled. I noticed something was wrong. Without wasting another second, she got back to work. The competition wasn't over yet. Not while Ethan believed in her. The judges watched carefully as Amara prepared her dish. Every movement mattered. Every second counted. The audience sat in silence. Even Sophia looked nervous. Hours later, the judges tasted the food. One judge closed his eyes. Another smiled. A third immediately asked for another bite. The crowd erupted with applause. Amara had done it again. She was officially in the final round. And this time, nothing was going to stop her that evening. Ethan took Amara to a rooftop restaurant overlooking the city. The lights sparkled below them like stars. For a while, they simply talked. No competition. No stress. Just the two of them. Amara laughed at one of Ethan's jokes. Ethan stared at her. What? Nothing. Why are you looking at me like that? He smiled softly. Because you're beautiful when you laugh. Amara nearly dropped her drink. Her cheeks turned bright red. And Ethan couldn't stop smiling as dinner continued. Their conversation became quieter, more personal, more meaningful. For the first time, Ethan spoke about his childhood, the loneliness, the pressure, the expectations. Amara listened carefully. When he finished, she gently placed her hand on his. You don't have to carry everything alone. Ethan looked down at her hand, then at her face. For a moment, the entire world seemed to disappear. Neither moved. Neither looked away. Both finally understood what had been growing between them. It wasn't friendship anymore. It was something much deeper. Later that night, Amara returned to her room. Her phone vibrated. A message from Ethan. She smiled immediately. The message read, "I'm proud of you." Simple, short, but it made her heart race. She replied, "Thank you for believing in me." A few seconds later, another message arrived. Always. Amara stared at the word, always, and for the first time in a very long time. She fell asleep smiling the next morning. Ethan received a call from his grandmother. She wanted to see him immediately. When Ethan arrived at the family mansion, several relatives were waiting. The atmosphere felt serious. His grandmother looked directly at him. "We hear you've become close to a chef." Ethan remained calm. "Her name is Amara." A relative laughed. "A billionaire dating a chef?" Another shook his head. "This relationship is embarrassing." Ethan's jaw tightened. He didn't like where this conversation was heading. The criticism continued. One relative after another attacked Amara. They called her poor. They called her unsuitable. They called her a mistake. Finally, Ethan stood up. The room became silent. "I don't care how much money Amara has." Nobody spoke. "I don't care where she comes from." His voice grew stronger. "What I care about is who she is." The family exchanged nervous glances. Ethan rarely lost his temper. And today, he wasn't backing down. A few days later, Ethan invited Amara to a luxury charity gala. It was her first event of that kind. The ballroom was filled with wealthy guests. Many smiled politely. Others whispered behind her back. Amara tried not to let it bother her, but it did. She suddenly felt like she didn't belong. Then she noticed Ethan walking toward her, confident, determined, and very protective. One wealthy guest approached Ethan. "Surely you can find someone better." The ballroom fell silent. Everyone waited for Ethan's response. He looked directly at the man, then wrapped his arm around Amara. "I already found the best person in the room." Gasps echoed across the hall. Amara stared at him, speechless. The man immediately looked embarrassed, but Ethan wasn't finished. "And if anyone has a problem with that," he smiled, "they can leave after the gala." Amara stood outside the venue. The cool night air brushed against her face. She turned toward Ethan. "Thank you." Ethan smiled. "You don't have to thank me." "Yes, I do." Her eyes became emotional. "No one has ever defended me like that." Without thinking, she stepped forward and hugged him. Ethan froze, then slowly